Hi there, and thank you for coming to the 10th annual Lake County Film Festival, which unfortunately, like everything else, has gone all virtual this year. As I'm sure you know, this year has been extremely tough for everyone, and I have what I feel like has been a theme song for me, not just this year, for many years, but especially something that I've looked at a lot this year because of how horrible everything is everywhere. So I'd like to introduce Phil Jerapu, who's going to play a song for us to kick this off. There you go. Hey, Phil. Uh-oh. Mike? Mike.
How about that?
You sound great.
All right.
All right, I'll let you at it.
Yeah, I tried to go low tech on the phone, and I was like, let's try and do something better. I got too fancy. This song is called "Sing Along Until You Feel Better," and I wrote it because I would go to the record store that Nat owned, and I don't know, records were my friends. It's about that feeling, when you're like, songs make you feel less alone. I wonder what's wrong with me, a manufacturer's error on the assembly line. Or maybe I'm just born under a bad sign. Who knows? When I don't know what to do, I sing along until I feel better. I pick out a record that's familiar and sit between the speakers and sing along until I feel better. Do you ever feel the same? Like something's fundamentally flawed inside of you, or any love that you might find is in spite of you. Well, I know if you don't know what to do, you ought to sing along until you feel better. You pick out a record that's familiar and sit between the speakers and sing along until you feel better. Until you feel better. Until you feel better. Until you feel better.
Hey, man, thanks so much.
Glad to. Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. Always trying to keep the connection to Lake County alive, even though you've moved on to bigger and better. I really think that your connection to Lake County is really important. You're one of the best things that we've got in there as far as music is concerned.
I feel like growing up there was really formative too. It's it was a pretty special place.
Yeah, It's weird. I'm hoping someone's going to come join us in a little while and talk about it more. But I feel like in the big city atmosphere, it's a little easier. Like I I remember I used to notice that a lot of my favorite hard rock musicians were black, and a lot of my favorite rappers were white. And for a while, I thought that was because they had to work so much harder to be noticed. And I feel like being from such a place without any real structure for art really makes people have to push harder and try more.
I think we had to make our own culture. I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, that was actually my dream when I was 18 and I didn't wind up going to school, is I wanted to start a live music club. And honestly, money was always a problem, but there was a lot of talk about how horrible at that time insurance would be. What happens if somebody slam dances and then breaks their neck, and and yeah, I wound up starting a record label instead, and then I wound up at Dog Ear, and the rest is history. So, all right, well, hopefully we're going to come back to you after we're done with what we got going on, and you can play a couple more for us.
For sure. Thank you.
All right, next up, I have Mike White. Mike.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike White. I am the host of the Projection Booth podcast and former editor of the Cashiers to Cinemart. Well, I guess it was a magazine, more of a zine than a magazine now.
It's funny because I think of it as a book. I never got the zine, but I've got the book in my library I meant to bring up. But so you were on the feature documentary jury. Do you want to tell us about the experience?
It was great. A lot of great movies this year. It was a little difficult to choose what we thought was the best, but because there were so many, just really enjoyable things and such an eclectic mix of stuff. It was really wild. I never knew what I was going to get when I started hit play on that next feature.
Oh, yes. I mentioned that. Sorry, I got an email from one of our potential guests here saying yes. Hang on. Okay. I mentioned because I'm one of the only events in Lake County that I really try to keep a diverse lineup in comedy and drama, and really, a lot of times people use the word diversity to mean different things, but I literally mean like just something for everyone that will show them. So do you want to announce and talk about the winner?
Yeah, sure. So I'm debating about whether I just announce what the winner is or if I read a little bit about it. But first,
your choice.
I will read this intro that Richard Probst, one of my fellow judges, wrote for us. And it kind of gives stuff away, but not enough that you're not going to want to watch this film. It can take a lifetime to find the missing piece. In this year's Best Documentary Feature, we first glimpse 74-year-old Peggy Phillips as a woman who's lived her life wearing the kind of trauma that comes to define us. We don't immediately know her story, of course, yet we will. Already picked up by Gravitas Ventures for an indie release on November 10th, Zach Marian's Where She Lies tells the story that may engage you, it may challenge you, it may repel you. It will definitely change you. Where She Lies is a dizzying story, the kind of story that you don't necessarily believe because it has so many variables and moving parts that it seems like it couldn't possibly be true. It can indeed take a lifetime to find the missing piece. For 74-year-old Peggy Phillips, discovering that missing piece comes in the form of discovered truths and finding peace with answers that may never be found. Where She Lies tells Peggy's story with uncommon humanity and aching vulnerability, the power of human connection infused in every frame and beautifully brought to life. For these reasons and others, Where She Lies is the recipient of the Jury Award for Best Documentary Feature at the 2020 Lake County Film Festival.
Awesome. Thank you. So the winner is Where She Lies by director Zach Marion. I would like to bring Zach in. Zach, congratulations.
Wow. Had no idea. I am so honored. It's like just hearing Mike read that, I was like, whoa, this is surreal. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. It's as you already know from talking to me before. It's I really love the movie.
Yeah, wow. I'm speechless. Actually, this is awesome. I'm so glad that you guys took the time to review the film and take a look at it. It's been I've been working on it for so long. It's like this thing that's outside of me now, and to have it recognized by others is it's been truly surreal. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Sure. Any thoughts, questions, comments beyond that? It's tough because people haven't seen the movie yet, but and we'll be doing a Q&A not this coming weekend, but the next weekend after your release.
Yeah. Are you asking if I have any comments at the moment?
Oh, you already gave me comments. I don't know. Any questions, Mike? I don't know. I'm just trying to kill time right now, waiting for someone else to show up.
Okay.
Full transparency.
Honesty is always the best policy, really. No, I mean, I was so lucky I got to connect with you, Nat. You really take this festival and you make it such a special event, an intimate thing, and I really appreciate it as a documentarian, as an artist, to have people out there that are recognizing films like mine that might not see a wide release, or might not have gotten the kind of recognition that certainly I think the film deserves. It's truly an honor, and it's a chance for to get someone's story out there in the world that really otherwise wouldn't have been able to be out there. So thank you to you. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to the jury. So pleased, so honored, and I'm just so happy.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. I will talk to you later. There we go. This is hard to do and MC and handle the tech stuff. My next guest, hopefully for Lake County residents and Lake County Film Festival attendees, doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'm very pleased to introduce Patrick Reed Johnson.
Hey guys. Hey everybody.
Pat, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. What you working on?
I can tell you, but I'd have to kill you. Lots of things. There's an actual release for 5/25/77. Finally, a final release after all of this.
I got to say, there's a couple movies that I've had in my head that when everything shut down, it was for you and another film that has only been waiting for 2 years. It was like, it's finally, this is the year we're gonna do it, and then everything shuts down theatrically. So I don't want to pry if you don't have news. Are we?
I will have news.
Okay.
And I'll say this about that: a very significant date will be a very significant date.
Hey, what's great? Because it's what I always think of when people say drive-ins, and drive-ins are at the top of the list right now. But I saw Star Wars at the Palwaukee drive-in theater. Since they're getting a comeback, is there any thought of pushing for some drive-in screenings?
That will very likely be a component of this. Yes.
Awesome.
It's not the main thrust, but it is a component.
I don't picture theaters being much open again by 5/25/21, unfortunately.
But drive-ins for sure. Yeah. That will very likely be a component. But this is a multi-platform scenario that includes, streaming, DVD, Blu-ray. foreign, well, some foreign theatrical, because some foreign countries did a better job with the virus than we did, and they actually have theaters open. And a soundtrack album, which is kind of which is part of the deal, which is cool because they wanted it, and there's a reason for it, because it has not only the David Russo score, which is wonderful and amazing, but also all of the a couple of the original songs that Alan Parsons did and I did for the film, plus songs we called them inspired by. They were songs that were possibly going to be in the movie that didn't make it into the film, but they were inspired by the film, and the artists that did them recorded them, and we're going to include those on the album, which is pretty cool.
Cool. I don't know if anyone knows, since last year, you want to talk about your Alan Parsons video, and are there any other things that maybe viewers might not know about?
Well, I did the 2 videos for Alan for the album. Alan Parsons, after a 15-year hiatus, put out an album called The Secret, and he asked me very early on to get involved on a bunch of levels. First, he asked me to design the cover and the back cover and the inside booklet and all of the artwork, everything, literally, for all of the materials that were going to go into it. And it's sweet and fun because I think he did it mostly because back when he did the album Gaudi back in the 80s, I designed the cover, the original cover for that album, which never got printed or made or shot. And the record company kind of stiffed him on getting a good cover for that album. And he always felt bad because I'd put all this work into it. And so I think he thought this was his chance to make it up to me, which is very sweet of him. And so he asked me to, handle this album, which was a major, major task and a lot of work, but it worked out very well. And then he said, and also, would you, be willing to do some videos based on the top 2 songs, the 2 singles that come off the album? I said, of course, and that was based on the fact that I was meant to do a video for him back in the 80s that got canceled by the record company because the album had peaked and they didn't want to spend any more money. And I think Alan thought all these things were sort of some kind of wonderful payback for my not having done them before. And as the final beautiful thing, there was a song I had written 4/5/25/77 called I Can't Get There From Here that Alan liked so much. He said, look, let me re-record this with the group and with the Alan Parsons Project folks and the orchestra and my let me put it through the Alan Parsons process, and I'll do it for free in exchange for you letting me put it on my album as the last song on the album, which is the place to be on an Alan Parsons album. And okay, sure. Who knew? I mean, and so we did, and he did, and he then chose that as one of the 2 songs that would be singles that went out into the world and that he would want a video for. So we did videos for something called I Can't Get There From Here. I Can't Get There From Here, the song for my movie, and then As Lights Fall, which is one of Alan's solo songs on the album. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, Alan gave me complete creative control and let me really go to town on both videos, especially on the one for his song. We went from something that was originally conceived to just be a sort of him standing in front of the sunset singing to this massive special effects laden pirate video with you have to look it up. If you look up As Lights Fall, Alan Parsons Project on YouTube, you can see it, and it's pretty remarkable the what we got on camera for the amount of money we had to spend, which was very little, mostly by pulling in old VFX favors from old friends in the industry and everything. The matte painter from Close Encounters and Blade Runner, did the matte paintings for it. And we just had all kinds of people that I had worked with back in the day as a visual effects guy come in and say, yeah, I'll help out with this. And it turned out really well.
I'm gonna leave that on the comment as a comment, a link to the YouTube on both of the streams. So Phil and I, who's a musician who went to LHS, and he's a power pop musician, I guess is I don't mean to pigeonhole him, but he's from Lake County and used to come into my store all the time. And
Right.
Randomly, a number of years ago, I touched base with him again and found out that he's put out this great album that I love a few years ago. And so we talked about it a little bit, but we talked about how hard it is to, and it was the same thing with me. I'm not an artist growing up, but not having really almost any outlets to have art presented to me in Lake County was so difficult growing up. And I think part of that is also, if there's no outlets, then people aren't working on their crafts as much. So, I know some of this might be a retread since you made a whole movie about this very concept, but I was curious if you had any more to say about it. I was trying to basically turn this into a celebration of Lake County. I've got.
Yeah, I do have something to say about it. Lake County is and I've lived all over the world. I've worked all over the world. I've traveled all over the world. And there's this weird Venn diagram of creativity and inspiration that comes out of a certain area just north of Chicago and south of Milwaukee. And I don't know what it is. There might be some strange mushroom in the soil or some weird meteorite that crash landed there 1,000 years ago. There's something in that Venn diagram between Chicago and Milwaukee. It might be Mars Cheese Castle that has something to do with it. But anyway, the whole idea is that people come out of there. You got Ray Bradbury, you've got Jack Benny, you've got Orson Welles, you've got Kevin Anderson, you got Mike Kaplan, you got, me. You got there are an amazing number of incredibly creative people who've done pretty well, some better than others, most of the others better than me, who all come from this little weird area between those two towns. And it's not that there aren't other creative areas in the world. New York certainly produces a lot of creative people, but there's something. I keep going back to Ray Bradbury. I think he recognized it as a youth. He called it, it was the October country. It was this strange autumn place where spirits intermingled, alive and dead, and it was Halloween Town, and it was there's some balance in the Lake County area and in the environs that haunt everything between North Chicago and Kenosha and Milwaukee. There's some ephemeral quality of life or death or both that seems to inform storytellers and filmmakers. And I mean, when you think about it, though, I mean, let's see, Orson Welles, Ray Bradbury.
Actually, I don't want to interrupt you, but three of my first covers of to Edward Ammett. How does Edward Ammett fit in here? We've got a guy who invented the first practical film projector, the guy,
right,
the first guy ever to charge admission to people to show them movies that influenced the Méliès brothers. The first person to what about you? I mean, the first person to use miniatures in a film to represent something that's real size. I mean, yeah, I don't know what that means.
There's something going on. I mean, Ray would say it was Mr. Electro who came and brought, with the Mr. Dark's Carnival down to Waukegan Harbor back in, what would it have been, the 20s or something, and conveyed upon Ray the magic of the eternal. And I don't know, he there is I think in the Midwest, and maybe because of a lot of the people that emigrated there from Europe and everything, had a lot of, a connection to death, because death was not uncommon in Europe before they left. I think that the preciousness of life and the appreciation of the cycles of life and the cycles of nature and the cycles of growing and growing old and dying and all those things were things that hit Ray really hard. And I think, like Ray, a lot of the other artists of this, Marlon Brando grew up around here, and Harrison Ford, and there are a lot of people from this area that go out into the world and then work on things and in ways that have a connection to that whole Ray Bradbury outlook of the autumn people, the October country. I don't know how to describe it better than that. There's a melancholy and an appreciation of the balance of life and death that informs good stories anywhere in the world, but particularly out of the Midwest of the United States. And I think in a weird way, we're kind of a focal point for that.
I was just thinking about I don't know how strange it is, but I was thinking about the parallel things. I moved to Lake County. I was probably 84, right, when my parents moved to Vernon Hills.
Right.
We were close by to Hawthorne Mall.
Sure.
At this giant, indoor mall, and the other three corners were cornfields.
Yes. Well, as you know, okay, so I can top that. Gurney Mills, which is now just a gigantic tourist mecca, but when I was growing up, it was all farmland. In fact, not just farmland, it was a particular farmer's land on the north side of Grand Avenue, and west of the 294 or the north-south tollway there. And there was a bridge. Is it Kilbourne Road? I think it's Kilbourne Road that goes over, and there was a bridge that went over, and we used to sit and park our cars up there on a summer evening because there was no traffic. I don't even know why there was a bridge there, to be honest with you, but we would sit and park our cars up there and watch cars go through, and look out over over the countryside at night and the full moon rising. And the farmer who owned that tract of land upon which Gurney Mills now sits had a barn and crop fields and an airport. He had his own little airport. He had an airstrip and a windsock and a little plane, and he would routinely take off and at night, daytime or whatever, and just go flying. And we would watch from a place right now. You couldn't even possibly park a car without getting arrested or, causing a traffic jam. It was just a different place at a different time, but it was a magical place. Wadsworth, Gurney, that whole area up there, Libertyville too, that was sort of the southern district of my world. But it was, there was an intersection, Wadsworth and Dilly's Road out in Wadsworth, Illinois, that routinely on a summer night, my friends and I would go down there with a basketball, and it was the only street light in our entire town, but it was in the middle of nothing. So we would go down on a summer night and sit in the middle of the intersection of Dilly's and Wadsworth Road, which now are both major thoroughfares, right? The traffic builds up around this intersection. But when I was growing up, we would sit there, and every now and then someone would go, "Do you hear that? Sounds like a car coming." And you'd look, and about a mile away, you could see headlights kind of coming over a hill. And you'd go, "Okay, yeah, they'll be here in like 20 minutes." And we'd be tossing the ball around and hanging out and palavering just as boys, kids on a summer night. And finally we'd get up and we'd walk out of the way, and a car would go, and that would be it for the night. Then we'd go back and sit down and pass the basketball around and under the street light and tell stories and jokes and talk about girls and whatever. It was just a different world. It's gone.
Yeah. Well, for me, I was just thinking that there's this huge mall. I mean, I assume the biggest mall there is, and the other three corners are cornfields. It's not that it's like totally dead and now there's a bunch of stuff. There was a huge thing, and right next to it was nothing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even when Lakehurst was built, when Lakehurst Mall was built, which is it's not even there anymore, but it was the first big indoor mall in America, and it was in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. There was nothing around it for miles. Now, where it was is kind of a grassland at the center of a big industrial and retail center. Which is crazy because we wanted to shoot it for 5/25/77. We were about a year too late. It was there. It was completely. It was just sitting there like caught in a time machine. Nothing had been taken down. Everything was exactly as it was. It was like people had been vacuumed out of it by aliens, and it was just sitting there empty, waiting to be shot. And I remember Gary Kurtz, producer of Star Wars, it flew over to scout it with me, and we scouted, and he was like, I can't believe you have this. I can't believe we can shoot this. And I said, I know, we got to get going. And we just didn't get our financing in time. And by the time we got our financing, they'd torn it down.
What did you end up using?
Huh?
What did you end up using?
Well, we never shot the interior of the mall at all. We ended up only shooting the exterior. And the exterior we used Toy World, not Toy World, Child World. There was this toy store that was on the periphery of the mall, and near some batting cages and like a miniature golf place on the north side of the complex that was still there, and we used that as the exterior. And the doorway and entryway of that as part of an interior, but we never got a chance to shoot the interior of the mall, which is too bad because that was a big part of the culture of the day was mall culture,
Yeah.
So
yeah, that Stranger Things season 3 that is I've seen 3 times now is just the way it's all centered around the mall is pretty brilliant. I don't know if you saw QWERTY, but in QWERTY they're supposed to be sort of near the city. And so we shot some guerrilla footage at Hawthorne Mall, and then we put some skyscrapers in the background, which, if you don't know, Hawthorne Mall kind of works.
It works fine. Works great.
I always get a little freaked out sometimes thinking about those skyscrapers being that far away, but then still visible, like some sort of future sci-fi. They're like mile diameter building.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, anything on the future? How's teaching? Is the pandemic treating you well?
I mean, it's treating me well because I teach completely virtually right now, which is hard because I'm teaching kids how to direct films, and doing that through Zoom is not the easiest thing in the world. But it's going well. I don't expect that we're going to get into a much better situation very quickly in the spring. However, being the sort of technical goofball geek that I am, we're applying a lot of technologies and solutions that are allowing us to work together even if we're not together. And that's going pretty well.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I know it's just a silly little thing, but I wanted to do something to sort of kick it off since we're still online. And I look at the bright side. It stinks that everyone's at home and people are going to be, doom scrolling across Facebook for the election while they're watching some stuff. But
right.
I never would have gotten the filmmaker interaction. We might have 20% of the filmmakers show up to the festival to talk to people, but this year it's going to be.
Does it start tonight, or when is this opening?
So it actually starts tomorrow, meaning the first Q&As go tomorrow. But I unlocked the movies a day early to give people a chance to sort of I say study ahead.
Right.
I have a faux schedule, but it's really tightly packed with all the things trying to fit
send me the schedule because I'd love to check in. Look, it's a great thing you do. It's important. I wouldn't have ever become a filmmaker, and I remember talking to Ray Bradbury about this because we had some nice conversations late in his life, and Lake County formed me. There's so much of it that informs everything I do. Every film, there's not a film I've ever directed that doesn't have tons of references to either people, places, or things in Lake County. Anyone who knows Lake County well, who has ever seen either Space Invaders or Baby's Day Out or Angus or When Good Ghouls Go Bad, all of them have references, lots of references to people, places, and things from Lake County. And it's kind of a fun game to go in and check out just how much people go, wait a minute, he's talking about, so.
What do you, I was just thinking, I think it's a throwaway. I don't remember what it was, if it was Simpsons or something else, but I remember an idea about Faulkner hating where he was from, but then also loving it, needing it, for
I was never ashamed or hated where I came from at all. I was never, in fact, it informed everything I've ever done and everything I've ever worked on. There is no better fuel for creativity. Look, somebody once said, and of course I can never remember who it was. I wish I could, because that would help. But if some famous either philosopher or artist or something once said that all art is the unconscious attempt by the artist to recapture that one particular moment that most moved them as a child. That everything they do from that moment that either crushed them or invigorated them or made them scream in terror or moved them to tears, there's a moment somewhere in your deep childhood when you're very young that this artist said all of the art that an artist creates is somehow an attempt to recapture that feeling of that moment. And I believe it, because I look at Steven Spielberg, and I guarantee, and I teach this with my students, there is not a Steven Spielberg film that's ever been made that doesn't have the exact same underlying motivation to it. Whether it's a comedy, a drama, a sci-fi film, a World War II film, whatever it may be, every single thing he's ever worked on has something at its basis that is integral to the point. And I ask them, what do you think that is? And most don't get it, but every now and then one will say, he wants a family. He wants a family. And either he wants to fix a family that's broken, or keep a family that's falling apart, or create a family because he's alone with the main character. And if you go through every Steven Spielberg film ever made, everything, you can apply that and go, yep, in its own way. It is, you know what I mean? It might be in a dramatic way or a funny way or anything else, but that is the basis of every Steven Spielberg story ever made.
It's the Band of Brothers,
It's the Band of Brothers. It's Close Encounters. It's E.T. It's Jurassic Park. I mean, you cannot find it's Empire of the Sun. There is no Steven Spielberg film that doesn't at its center have a need to, in some way, shape, or form, either heal, protect, create, gather a family.
But you in 525 hate Lake County.
In 525, Pat Johnson, who is a quantum mechanically different human being than I am, who still exists in 1977, hated Lake County. He hated, well, no, that's not true. He didn't hate it at all. He was unhappy in it, but that's not because he hated it. In fact, in point of fact, he actually loved it. He actually loved it more than he ever knew until he left it. It wasn't that he hated it. It was that he thought it hated him, and he thought it was pulling him down, and he thought that staying there would kill him. The truth is, that was the struggle. He loved it. It was his world. It was beautiful, and it had autumn moons over cornfields, and it had amazing young people and old people, and it had history, and it had cohesion, and it had everything anyone would ever want except Hollywood. It didn't have Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
And so on the surface, the character hates it, but that's just him trying to find a way to get out of it. It's him creating a false narrative about the place in order to leave it, only to find out after others are saying, get the hell out, you need to go for your sake, that it's so hard to go because you don't hate it, you actually love it, and leaving it will hurt you horribly.
Well, I mean, I didn't leave when I was a kid either, you know. That's I hated it, but stayed and wanted to make it better, you know.
And you've made it better every year with this festival.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I didn't need to go to Hollywood to do what I wanted to do.
No, you didn't, and nobody needs to, really. You can, especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I tried to let you go once. I'm going to do it again. Thank you again so much. It's
You're welcome.
such a pleasure to talk to you and spout philosophy about all this. And we'll be looking forward to 525.
I'll let you know. There'll be stuff to talk about soon enough.
Well, we're closing in 12 days. Will you have it then?
It's very possible, actually. Keep in touch.
Right.
Bug me. We're in final negotiations right now, so.
All right, I'll talk to you about closing night festivities. All right, thank you very much.
Great luck. Good luck with the festival.
Thank
Love
you.
your Lake County. Be cool. Stay safe. Make cool stuff.
Wear a mask.
Yeah, wear a mask. All right. Yeah. There you go.
All right, thanks. Phil,
What's up, Nat?
what for you? So you got some songs?
Sure. Let's see. Have you heard that Great State of Texas Waltz? If I ever do another album, I'm gonna put it on it.
I'm not sure.
So I was, thinking about what Patrick was saying. Like I left Libertyville, and I kept looking for home and not finding it. And I think like that's a central theme in the album too. Like he was talking about Spielberg and family, like maybe like family and home are, sometimes synonymous. So I was on tour and I was thinking about leaving Austin, and now I'm in Portland, and on tour, I'm like, oh, I could live here. Oh, I could live here. Well, now screw LA. I can't deal with it. Things like that. But I wrote this song about Texas. Is like a little love letter to Texas, because I thought maybe it was home. Like my fiance, who became my ex-wife, like we met in Illinois. We moved there with dreams, and then it like all kind of fell apart, Anyhow, I'm thinking of leaving the great state of Texas and finding somewhere else to call my home. I haven't felt at home in the great state of Texas since you broke my heart and left me here on my own. The stars at night are big and bright. I've wished upon them all, but all these years and all these tears, and still you won't call. I'm selling all my dreams in the great state of Texas and cashing them all in for peace of mind. I haven't slept a wink in the great state of Texas since you drove away without a proper goodbye. My family's all in Illinois. Chicago gets too cold. They'll see my breath, they'll freeze to death without you to hold. But if I ever do leave the great state of Texas, I'm not so very sure just where to go. 'Cause nowhere else will ever be home quite like Texas. 'Cause Texas was home to the love we had known. 'Cause Texas was home to the love we had known.
Sweet, man. I do actually remember that song. That's not on. Maybe I saw you do it live.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I sometimes would do it like solo at the end of a set. Yeah. I'm thinking about doing the next album, maybe just me playing everything, McCartney style.
But all layered, right? Not.
Yeah, like I'll put like pedal steel on, and I'll play like drums and maybe do some loop drum stuff and synth and toy instruments and, just kind of like, because, partly because of the pandemic too,
What? How many songs do you kind of have that you're thinking about at this point?
6 or 7 that are definite and they're complete. They just need to be recorded, and then probably another 8 to 10 ideas that I just need to flesh out.
Sweet.
I'll cull some ideas and see what, throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
How about you? You working on any film projects?
No, not really. I can't picture it. I moved about a year ago, and the house has been so much, and the pandemic. I'm homeschooling 2 kids.
Right.
Honestly, I was, I'm right now, since I don't think the pandemic's going on, I'm already kind of wrestling in my head about what to do about next year for, any sort of festival, including my festival. I work for other festivals too, and I'm just like, man, it's tough. I need us to get back on track and get this thing beat down.
For real.
Bad.
Yeah. If we are still distance learning next fall, I'm seriously considering being like, well, that's 22 years of teaching and call it a day.
Really?
Try and find something else to do. Yeah, I don't know. I've got roommates who rent rooms, so I can make my bills and maybe like get a student loan, go to school, and do. I don't know.
And you got a little coffee side project that's awesome. In the comments, I posted a YouTube link to the video that Patrick was talking about, and I posted your Bandcamp, but I'm posting your Day Trippers coffee roasters too, because that is apparently some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. I love it.
I don't drink coffee. I'm not telling you it's great, but my dad drinks coffee more than anyone I know, and he says it's great. I asked my mom, I said, his birthday's coming up. I said, what does he want? And, it's the same thing with them. I don't need anything, and I asked her, I said, well, is he out of the good coffee? And she goes, oh yeah, he goes through that one first. It's gone quickly,
Sweet.
So they're hard to shop for. So I'm actually really glad that I have something I can always get them.
I can send you a recipe for ice cream made with it. It's pretty good.
Oh.
I don't know how you feel about coffee ice cream.
I really just, I guess I like tiramisu, but I'm not really, not even into iced. I don't know. Just give me my Diet Dr. Pepper and I'm good.
That's cool. I mean, like, everybody's got their thing. I'm not trying to tell anybody what drugs to take or whatever,
Well, especially now you can take any of them, right?
Yeah, in Oregon you can. I've never tried mushrooms, and now I'm gonna ask my doctor. I'm like, hey, do I qualify? What can psilocybin do for me?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I'm sure you do. How are your dogs? How's Molly?
Molly's good. She's right there, laying on the bed. Lucy's upstairs. She's scared of the stairs, and honestly, I'm okay with that because she's 7 months old.
Oh, she heard her name.
Yeah,
she's coming up behind you.
Hi, Molly. Hi, baby. How you doing?
I have, when I saw you, I could only get like a small shirt or whatever. My daughter wears it sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's not here, but yeah. All right. You want to do another song, and we're 10 minutes shy of an hour. What are you gonna do for us?
How you want a twofer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Always. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do Nothing Is Connected into Every Day, because I do it live like that. I think it kind of works, because Nothing Is Connected ends and it feels very open-ended. Everyone's always like, do I clap? And then I just go into this, like, Nothing Is Connected is like this barn burner mostly about atheism, and then the last bit is about my divorce, into this breakup song that I wrote for the girl who was the girl after the divorce. So to me, they emotionally feel connected,
I'm gonna ask. Remind me. I'm gonna ask you about names when we come back.
Oh, I mean, I can tell you about it now. So, like,
I had this idea.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about. There's a really great movie that was supposed to come out this year that's kind of all about songwriting. And I feel like some people kind of have a crutch that they can use to really connect people right away. And for Ryan Adams, it's Places,
Yep.
And I noticed that you've got several with names, right?
Yeah. I'll always I feel like names have like a certain rhythm to, like there's Don't Worry, Gina. And then there's
Kimberly, obviously.
Kimberly's got that. So Kimberly's 3 syllables, so it lends itself to that 50s kind of prom waltz kind of thing, like Weezer's Suzanne. Yeah, I like girls' names and songs for sure, and the easiest ones to write about are the ones that like put me through the meat grinder.
The ones that break your heart are do they ever get angry?
I got an email from Angie. She went to Libertyville. We went to prom together, and oh geez, she's like the email said a blast from your past, and she's like, hey, how you doing? By the way, nice song. And I'm like, does she know it's not complimentary? I couldn't tell, I don't know. But we're still friends. She's married, has a couple kids, is a teacher, and is still liberal, so that's good. Where my ex-wife apparently is a huge Trumper.
Well, that's Texas for you, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I can't believe it's still been so great to spend an hour not looking at the election results. So
for real, this is the longest I haven't. I mean, other than teaching, this is the longest I haven't drank in the past couple of days.
Oh wow, awesome!
Yeah. Should have hydrated.
Yeah. All right, cool. Hit me with those songs.
Yeah, I grew up in the Assemblies of God Church, and that church is still there. It's on Route 45 in Mundelein, Century Assembly of God. I think they changed names, but the building's still there. Nothing is connected, that's just something that you say. You say that everything's connected, because it gets you through your day. You know that anything that's up must come back down again. So if you're feeling down and out, you'll turn around, but then you get the feeling maybe that's not true. Nothing is connected, well, as near as I can figure. Anything you think's connected, it's just your ego getting bigger. Well, I thought that it was you. You swore that it was me. It's just the universe and it just doesn't care, you see. It spins along as if it never knew. I don't know why I let myself get this way sometimes. It's just enough to make you lose whatever's left of your mind. Nothing is connected, well, as near as I can tell. The things that ought to be connected never seem to turn out well. People never ever seem to learn from their mistakes. We're stepping on the gas instead of slamming on the brakes. And I wonder if we'll ever get a clue. Nothing is connected, you're out there on your own. You say that everything's connected so you don't feel so alone. But then you feel it creeping in, you're not sure what to do. It's just your fear and loneliness that's catching up with you. And you shake it off because it's nothing new. left of your mind. Nothing is connected, there's no other explanation. People leave the ones that love them without any consolation. You don't get a reason why, you don't get a second try. Well, they tried you on for size and then they hung you out to dry. And there's really nothing more that you can do. 'Cause every day there's a moment, a quiet little moment, when I pick up the telephone. I start to dial your number, but then I don't. Sometimes I do, sometimes you even answer too. Sometimes you tell me that you love me, but you don't say it like you used to. Still, I'm the one you call when you're scared and all alone. But you don't want to hear me say you don't have to do it on your own. I know we love each other, so let go and let your feelings show. I'll be waiting by the phone to hear from you. 'Cause every day there's a moment, a quiet little moment, when I pick up the telephone. I start to dial your number, but then I don't. Sometimes I do, sometimes you even answer too. Sometimes you tell me that you love me. You used to say you love me. Why don't you say you love me like you used to?
Thanks so much, Phil.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you. Nice to see you.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna
Sorry.
go play some frisbee with the girls and make some dinner. But yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out more of the festival.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll. Did I send you a pass?
You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I'll
Cool.
look through my email, and if I don't, I'll email you.
All right.
Not
Sweet.
burn 'em.
Sweet.
All
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. I hope you enjoy the festival. We're all live. Films are open, ready to watch now. Get your passes and tickets if you haven't. And thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow night with a local shorts Q&A and hopefully monuments. The featured monuments will be doing a Q&A with us. Good night.
See you, Nat. Take it easy.
See you, Phil. Thanks.
Bye.